The ninth and possibly final hearing of the congressional panel investigating the January the 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol is underway in Washington. Today's hearing is focusing on Donald Trump's state of mind as the insurrection unfolded. The House of Representatives Select Committee resumes after a 2.5-month break and is expected to present new video footage showing efforts to respond to the violence as it was unfolding. Well, for the very latest, we can cross live to Washington and speak to Arise U.S. correspondent Eric Ham. Good to see you, Eric. Let's start with the January the 6th congressional investigations, which resumed today with a promise to present new evidence. What can we expect?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we heard from the chairman of the committee, Congressman Benny Thompson, Democrat from the state of Mississippi. And he said that today's hearing would actually operate more like a business meeting where we will see a series of votes by the committee on advancing their investigatory work on this committee. Now, I don't know if that means, I think what we don't know exactly what that means, but what it sounds like is that this is not the end of the work that the committee is doing, and that there could be more votes that perhaps could lead to the committee actually voting to send on perhaps a criminal referral to the Justice Department. So we do know that in addition to that, they are also going to release additional evidence that has not been seen, and that we will also hear from other witnesses who have already provided testimony to the committee, but we will also hear more in detail about what those witnesses said, as well as additional clips from the committee. Now, we do know that this is going to be the last hearing, of course, until the midterm elections, which are just 4 weeks away. But in addition to that, we know that the committee does have a report that it is going to actually try to attempt to get done before the end of the year. Now, many are speculating that the committee's work needs to wrap up by the end of the year, because it's a foregone conclusion that Republicans will take control of the House, and that when they come into office, they will then disband this committee. But we still have to wait to see how the results actually play out. Because if, in fact, by some slim chance, Democrats keep control of the House of Representatives, there's a very good chance that this committee could continue moving forward.
Well, actually, your analysis is very interesting there, because I'm wondering whether all this has just been a political exercise, or has it been a worthwhile exercise in just laying out all the stuff?
Well, Charles, what we do know is that this has been far more than just an exercise for the committee, because remember now, the Department of Justice has pressed the committee for its work to advance many of its own investigations. And we know that right now there are multiple investigations involving the former president, Donald Trump, looking, of course, at the January 6th insurrection. And so that is why there has been a lot of back and forth from my sources within the committee about whether or not to actually provide a criminal referral. The reason is because while a criminal referral, many believe, will not necessarily do things to advance an investigation into the former president, because there's already an investigation taking place. But many believe that there needs to be a referral because they believe it only cements what they believe is wrongdoing by the former president involving the work of Congress. And so clearly what we're seeing here is the work that the committee has done has been extremely advantageous, at least from a criminal standpoint, because we know the Justice Department has been wanting to get their hands on the information. And of course, our sources have informed us that the committee is actually collaborating and cooperating with the Justice Department in its investigations.
Right, thanks for that, Eric. Let's turn to Florida. In the last couple of hours or so, a jury has recommended that the gunman who killed 17 people in a school shooting at Parkland in Florida should be sentenced to life in prison without parole. Bring us the details.
Yeah, that's right. And Charles, if you remember, when this deadly shooting took place back at Parkland High School in Florida, there was a massive rally that took place here in Washington, focused on trying to get guns out of school. We covered that rally live. And now here we are where this young man has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for the shooting of many of these children. In fact, Charles, just a very somber scene that we saw play out in the courtroom today, where you had parents and family members weeping as the verdict was being read of this individual. And we also saw the victims themselves featured, one being a young man, Charles, who actually kept the door open to allow his classmates to get out of the school, who was shot multiple times and subsequently died from those wounds.
Eric, thanks very much indeed. Eric Ham, Arise US correspondent, talking to me there from Washington.